Good afternoon, second graders. I'm just going to go over the first set of word problems from your practice test with you right now. So that's going to be problems number 14, 15, 16, and 17. Let's start with number 14. Let's read it together. Vicky had 14 markers. She gave some to her friend. Now she has only 8 markers. How many markers did she give to her friend? Okay, first I need to think about what's happening in this problem. So I know Vicky starts with some markers and then she gives some to her friend. So whenever someone is giving something away or getting more of something, that will tell me that this is a start, change, result problem. So when I see gave or give, I know this is a start, change, result. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is look for how many markers that she started with. In the beginning, it says Vicky had 14 markers. This is how many she starts with. So I'm going to write 14 for my start. Now I'm looking for the change. So the change is always the action. Are we adding more or taking away? So Vicky gave some to her friend. That means the amount of markers that she has is getting smaller. She's giving some away, so she has less markers, so we need to take away some markers. Since it says some, I know this is where my box goes. Okay, and then for the result, I'm always looking for how many she has now or at the end, and I can see the word now here. Now that tells me this is going to be her result. Now she has only 8 markers. So that is my result. Some was the change. So I'm going to write 8 for my result. Okay. And I can double check the question to make sure I've written this right. How many markers did she give to her friend? So give is an action word. So I know it's looking for the change. Okay. And that's where I have my box. Now I'm going to draw my picture to prove out my thinking, my answer. So I'm going to start from 8 and count up to 14, okay? 14 is our total or highest number since we're taking away and making it smaller at the end. So I need to count up to 14. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay, so I can double check 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And then I'm going to count how many circles it took me to get up to 14. And that will give me my answer that I'm looking for. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So my answer is going to be 6. And I'll go back to my problem and look for the label. The label will always come after the words how many. So in this problem, it says how many markers. So my label should be markers. Okay, great job. Let's move on to the second problem, number 15. Okay, let's read number 15. Linda sees 13 cows in a field. 4 of the cows are brown. The rest are white. How many cows are white? Okay, so in this problem, I'm not seeing something adding more or seeing someone taking something away. So I know this is not a start, change, result. So it can only be a part, whole, or compare problem. In a compare problem, I always look for some keywords like more than, fewer than, as many as, and I don't see any of those keywords here. So now I'm thinking it's probably a part, whole. For a part, whole problem, we always have 2 groups that are being added together for a total. So let me see if I have 2 groups here. So I know altogether there are 13 cows in the field. And it says 4 are brown and the rest are white. So that's telling me there are 2 groups here. There's one group of brown cows and there's one group of white cows. So I'm going to write this as a part whole problem, where part 1 will be the brown cows and part 2 will be the white cows. Okay, so now I need to look for the numbers that are in my equation. So part 1 is brown cows, so I'm going to see how many cows are brown. I go back to my problem and I see 4 of the cows are brown, so I'm going to write 4 here. And then it says the rest are white. And we remember when we see the rest, that means it is an unknown number and we need to write a box. Okay, and then all together, Linda saw 13 cows. So I'm going to write 13 for the whole. I can check my problem to make sure, or check my question to make sure that I have the right equation. So the question is asking how many cows are white. Now I have a box here in my equation for the white cows. So I think that I'm on the right track. So I can go ahead and draw my picture to solve this. Okay, since 13 is the total, I'm going to count up from 4 to 13 to find the missing number. So I'm going to write 4. I'm going to count up to 13. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And I'll just double check 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay, I'm good. So now I can count how many circles I've drawn to find my answer, since that is the missing number that I'm looking for. I need to know how many more do I need after 4 to count up to 13. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And I can count one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so my answer is going to be 9. And I'll go back to my problem to look for my label, which is always going to be after the words how many in the question. And this question says how many cows are white? So my label will be cows are white. Okay, so that's problem number 2, or number 15, really. Let's move on to problem number 16. Okay, let's read number 16. Joy has 17 stamps. Sam has 8 stamps. How many fewer stamps does Sam have? Okay, so first I'm trying to figure out what kind of problem this is. If it were a start, change, result, I know there would be an action, like someone is getting more, or they are giving some away, or using some, and there's no action here, so I know that this is not a start, change, result. Now, that means it can be a part whole or a compare problem. I have 2 people who both have stamps. If it were a part whole, it would be asking me how many do these 2 people have all together. Let's check if that's the question. How many fewer stamps does Sam have? Okay, it's not asking me how many stamps they have all together. It's asking me how many fewer stamps does Sam have. So I remember that fewer is one of the key words for a compare problem, which means we're working with compare here. Okay, when I do compare problems, I always start with my compare bars because that will help me set up my equation later. Okay, so in compare bars, the person with more always goes on the top bar and the person with fewer always goes on the lower bar. So I need to look and see who has more stamps here. Joy has 17 and Sam has 8. 17 is more than 8, so that lets me know that Joy should go on the top and Sam should go on the bottom. It says Joy has 17, so I'm going to write 17 for M. And Sam has 8, so I'm going to write 8 for F. And then the difference, how many fewer stamps does Sam have, is what we are looking for with our question. So now I can write my equation. Okay, more minus fewer equals the difference. And I'll just take these numbers from my picture and plug them into my equation. 17 minus 8 equals box. Okay, and then I can solve it either using my fingers or using my mental math strategies. And I know 17 minus 8, if I have 17, that's 10 and 7. 7 is 1 less than 8. So I can take 7 away first, and I'll say 17 minus 7 is 10. And then I'll take 1 more away to make it a full 8 that I'm subtracting. And 10 minus 1 more is 9. So I know that my answer is 9. We can always double check that by adding 9 plus 8. So if I do 9 and count on 8 more on my fingers, I will come back to 17. So I know that 9 is correct. Okay, so now I'm going to look for my label. I'm always looking after the words, how many. And this problem says how many fewer stamps. So I'm going to write 9 fewer stamps. Okay, so that's problem number 16. And now we'll move on to the last problem on this page of our practice test, problem number 17. Okay, problem number 17. Let's read it. Marco has 2 oranges, 9 apples, and 9 bananas. He puts all the oranges and the apples in a basket. How many pieces of fruit does he put in the basket? Okay, so I'm trying to first figure out what type of problem this is. Now, for start, change, result, we know we're always adding more or taking some away. And I don't see anything being added. He's not getting more oranges and apples or bananas. And he's not taking any away either. He's putting some of his fruit into a basket. And the question is asking, how much of his fruit is he putting in the basket? Now, it could be a compare, but I do not see them using any comparison words like more than, fewer than, or as many as. So this is a part whole problem. We want to know how much fruit he's putting in the basket. He's put oranges and apples in the basket. So those are our 2 parts. And the basket, or all the fruit in the basket, would be our whole. So this is the basket of fruit that is the whole. Okay, so now let's look and see what information that we have. Do we know how many oranges Marco has? Yes, we do. You're right. He has 2 oranges. So we're going to write 2 for part 1. Do we know how many apples Marco has? Right, he has 9 apples. So we are looking for the whole, the amount of fruit that's in the basket. And we can read our question again just to make sure our equation is right. The question is asking, how many pieces of fruit does he put in the basket? Okay, we want to know how many pieces of fruit are in the basket, and we have put our box for the basket whole in our equation. So we know that we have the box in the right place. Now we can solve. So we're always going to count up from the bigger number just because it makes things easier for us. So we'll start with 9, and we're going to add 2 more. 9, 10, 11. Okay, 1, 2. 2 plus 9 equals 11. 9, 10, 11. So our answer is going to be 11. And we need to check for a label, which will look after the words how many. And it says how many pieces of fruit. So we're going to write pieces of fruit for our label. Okay, you guys are doing great. If you have questions about some of the other word problems, go ahead and join me for the other videos. Thank you for watching. I'll see you tomorrow.